This channel is supported by TruFire. TruFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. I have good news for any of you who are considering checking out TruFire stuff. I managed to get a code JNC100 to get $100 off of the All Access membership. So occasionally through the year they run this like $99 for All Access membership, which is I think the best time to get involved with this. And now with this code JNC100 you can basically get that any time of year. So if you're considering checking that out, I really love the Alan Hines stuff on there, the Andy Timmons stuff on there, the Mike Dawes, Tommy Emmanuel, Tim Miller, Robin Ford. There's so much stuff on there that I think you get quite a lot for your money, and using this all access membership I think is a bit of a better way to get more for your money than just buying individual courses. So that's why I'm quite happy to say there's this JNC 100 code. There is a Carl Verheyen course on there, and I was looking on Facebook and I saw a video come up of his where he was talking about pedals and saying if they sound good, don't sell them. And then he proceeds to kind of tour through his studio, and he's got, you know, countless amounts of boards and countless pedals that are kind of sat on shelves and stuff. And for me, I guess it sort of makes me a little bit nervous. Like, the thinking that I have is that if I'm not using a piece of gear, then I don't really like to keep it too much. And based on that video that I did yesterday, where actually I feel like with either the fractal stuff or the line 6 stuff that I could more or less do any of the time-based or modulation-based stuff that I'd like, there's not really any reason for me to keep too much of that stuff around. I do still have quite a lot of drive pedals. They've sort of started to creep back up since I started doing some demos of bits and pieces. But in general, I'm thinking there's like 3 key pedals which I don't think I would want to sell. But even one of those I can look at and I can think, well, I could pretty much do that job with any of the others with something similar. So if I were to sell it, this is kind of my thinking, is that if I sold all of my kind of gear, what are the bits that I would buy back again? And I think when you have like an excess of pedals and stuff that can just sort of just collect up over the years, I think that's kind of a nice way to think about it. Like, obviously if you bought pedals new, you'd lose money on this sort of thing, but that kind of thinking where maybe you just put all your pedals together and make a list and think, right, which of these would I buy again? and try and be a bit brutal with it, maybe that's a way that you could end up with less pedals that you don't use and more pedals that you do, which to me, I think, seems to be a bit more of a balance that I would want to be on rather than being on the collecting side. And I don't think I agree with the idea that you should never sell a pedal if it sounds good. Because I don't feel like if I've got a pedal that I'm not using, I don't really see the point in it being in my house. Unless there's some other reason, like is it collectible, is it rare, or does it have sentimental value? And even in those cases, I don't think that's necessarily a great reason to keep things that you're not using. Let me know your thoughts on that. Also, let me know your thoughts if you've got like a Desert Island delay or reverb pedal that you think I need to check out, because I've not got one of those kind of things that I've found that I would never sell, if that makes sense. So I'm sort of on the lookout for that sort of thing, maybe. But yeah, here are the 3 pedals that I don't think I would sell, and even one of them is sort of semi on the chopping block, because I could sell it and then just buy a normal Tube Screamer and probably do most of the job with it. After yesterday's video about sort of, do we really need pedals anymore? If I had to kind of be brutal about which pedals I might keep and which ones I might sell, I think I've narrowed it down to basically these 3 that I would actually keep amongst some of the other ones that I've had. I used to have a lot more pedals, but I decided basically that I wasn't using them and that I would sell most of them. Now, over time, I've demoed some more pedals and bits and pieces. If this one worked, I think this would go into the list as well. This doesn't work in bypass, but it's an Ibanez SD9. So I need to get that fixed. If anyone knows anyone who could fix the pedal, Tony, maybe you. I think maybe the Marshall Blues Breaker should be in this list as well, because Lenny bought me that one with the help of David Beebe, and that one means something to me. But so basically, here's my clean tone. So this one here, my favourite fuzz pedal that I've ever tried. So it feels really good. Some fuzz pedals to me just seem a bit too spiky to get on with. Obviously this is an expensive pedal as well, made by Pete Cornish for me. I paid him to make me one. I think they're not necessarily super easy to reliably get hold of. I think Pete is not the youngest guy in the world anymore, and possibly a little bit difficult for some people to get response from. But another way that, for me, makes fuzzes a bit more usable, I don't think I'd ever really gig this, though. It's kind of just one of those things that I keep because I think it's really cool, but at the end of the day, is that a good enough reason to keep something? Possibly not. This TS10. So that's how I really find fuzz to be most useful. So bringing on the TS10 there, basically this is just a tube screamer really. but they are the ones that John Mayer, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Gary Moore used. Stevie Ray Vaughan and Gary Moore probably just because they were what was being made at the time. I do think they have something a little bit different going on to most tube screamers, but it's not much. They are worth a little bit of money now, so I don't know, it is sometimes tempting to just let this one fly into the sunset because it is basically just a tube screamer. But I just think that it has quite a nice feel compared to some tube screamers. And then this one here, the Van Wielden Royal Overdrive, again, one of these things that's going to be a little bit difficult to replace. That might be what keeps me hanging on to it, or it might be that it sounds... And let's try stacking the fuzz with it. That, for me, I think is my desert island list of pedals for the reasons kind of stated there. This one here, very difficult to replace if I did sell it, or might, end up being quite expensive. Similar with the TS10, to be honest, and similar with the Pete Cornish. Are they pedals that I use much at all? Frankly, no. But, thinking about the Carl Verheyen thing, if it sounds good, don't sell them. If they sound good, don't sell them. I'm not sure that I necessarily agree too much, because there are so many pedals that sound really good. If you're not using them, to me, unless you're a very, very rich person or someone who's a collector, then, for me, I find it a bit difficult to justify keeping some of these things. The Dude would have been one of the ones that was on my list a while back, but frankly, since I'm not gigging most of these things anyway, I think the Royal Overdrive could do everything the Dude could do anyway, so that falls off the list, I think. Similarly, the Walrus Audio Slow, which Lenny bought me, I really, really like this, but it's not stereo, and I think, frankly, some of the helix reverbs and some of the fractal reverbs sound just as good, and those are what I'd be using most of the time anyway, so this might fall off the list, but maybe it's here for now. But let me know in the comments. That's a thing that I've never really come across yet, like a desert island delay pedal or desert island reverb pedal. Do they exist? Have you got one that you'd recommend? Something that is worth checking out and that maybe you've fallen in love with, that you think maybe I would dig. I'd like to know your thoughts on that in the comments, and whether you've managed to, you know, successfully pare back to a reasonable collection of pedals versus something that belongs in a museum. Catch you in another video soon. Cheers.